Hi, I'm Hayley at H Wellness, and I help beautiful mamas tired from juggling work and kids and home life reconnect to themselves and rediscover who they are so that they can follow their joy and live a beautiful, happy life. Now, today's blog is all about where did I go and about reconnecting and about rediscovering who you are and where you're headed. And this first part one, is just about my story and my journey because I've been on a bit of a business journey and that's been kind of shaping and evolving. And what I've come to understand is that my story is the reason for my business, and how I've gotten from A to B is what I want to share with people and help people discover so that they can get from A to B. And like I said, just reconnect and rediscover who they are and help you guys to follow your hearts and reconnect to that and live the lives that you want to live and that you know that you should be living. And so I used to be a dancer back in the day, back in my old life. I danced professionally from the time that I was 17, danced and sung professionally from the time I was 17 to just before I had my first Baba Jake when I was 30. And it was awesome. I travelled overseas. I worked with heaps of amazing people in amazing places, and I was just happy to take life as it came to me and make mistakes. I was really happy to make mistakes and learn from them, and took every opportunity that came to me. Was really, really lucky to get some great opportunities, and I never didn't grab them when they presented themselves. And I followed my passion. I followed my joy. Followed my heart. No excuses. No questions, no matter what, just followed what I wanted to do. And then I had this little beautiful bundle of joy, and I just changed overnight. And I was like, sorry, I don't think we've been formally introduced. I had no idea who this person was that was inside me. It was really bizarre. And I think that the issue is that we become a lot of the time, and I know with me, I became who I thought I was supposed to be. The mum I thought I was supposed to be doing the things I thought I was supposed to be doing. I mean, when I found out, actually wasn't when I found out I was pregnant. It started happening before I had Jake, because I knew that I wanted a family, and so I decided to stop doing what I was doing and get a real job in childcare. Hats off to childcare workers. No kidding. It was even in preparing for a family, I started changing who I was and, to be doing what I thought I was supposed to be doing. But I had this beautiful baby and I completely lost myself. I completely disconnected from what I wanted. I wanted a family, but that's one little part of it. I completely disconnected from my beliefs, and I was just swept up in life, as we all get swept up in, and I had no connection, no direction, living Groundhog Day over and over and over and over again. And I knew that what I was doing wasn't quite me, and I knew that there was more, but I just didn't know how to get out of it. I didn't know how to find it again, and just spent so long in this cycle. I was tired all the time. I was exhausted. I was eating terribly, in and out of depression. Negative self-talk was disgusting. I was overweight, obviously, because I was eating so badly. I'd put on a lot of weight. I did have a third-degree tear with my first son, and that made it really difficult. For those of you who have had one, really hard, and obviously not being able to move, I just sat eating and didn't move anywhere. And then the more depressed I got and the more stuck in that I got, I'm a massive emotional eater, so the more I ate, and just spiraled downward from there, really. But I was totally lost in who I was and what I wanted and where I was going and what was happening. And I had my second son quite they were 17 months apart. So I had this normal job because that's what I thought I was supposed to do, because I had to have a stable job to have a baby, and I got pregnant during the first year that I was there, and had Jake, and then went back to work there, and actually got made redundant about 2 months later because it was for ABC. For any of you who remember ABC Childcare, they went under, and so I got made redundant, which was a massive blessing from the universe, but I panicked at the time. We were both panicking. Everyone was panicking. So that then got me even more depressed, because I just went, well, because I was studying at the same time. So what ABC did was that you studied with them, getting your diploma in childcare, but you got to work at the same time, which was great because you got to study for free and earn money. So I couldn't afford, or we couldn't afford for me to keep studying, so I just had to stop. And I was like, well, now what do I do, And just decided to go back into singing teaching, which is actually one of the times that I did follow my heart more than anything else. But I was doing that at my mum and dad's house. They had a spare room, so I taught singing out of there, which is great. It was cool. I love teaching singing, but I got pregnant with Dylan about 2 months after I started teaching singing. Oh, would it have been 2 months? No. He was born in December, so do the math. So, yeah, and then had Dylan and went back to work again about 11 weeks after he was born, and it was so hard getting up and feeding a baby at ridiculous o'clock in the morning, and then being with the two boys all day long, really close together, so both still very demanding, and working until 9:30 at night, and it was exhausting. And I loved teaching, but I was just still not awesome at all. And my dad too had cancer a few times in between that time, and gosh, I remember one day just having what was my first panic attack. For those of you who've had a panic or an anxiety attack, you know how frightening and scary that can be, especially when it's your first one, because you don't know what's happening. And I just remember going into my bedroom wanting to cry. Something had triggered me wanting to cry, like I got emotional, which I do get anyway. But it wouldn't come out. Like I couldn't really get the tears out, and I just started not being able to breathe. Like my breath was just getting shorter and shorter, and I couldn't catch it, and it was getting worse and worse, and I started getting dizzy, and then it just kept getting worse and worse. And I remember my husband coming in, and I don't know whether it's because he heard me or he was coming for something else, but he came in and he was like, oh my God, what is happening? And he, was trying to rub my back and calm me down, and I just was getting worse and worse. And I remember like just finding the end of the bed, starting to sort of like black out and not be able to see, because I just couldn't breathe. And I just was like, oh my God, help me, like somebody like get this out of me. My husband's asking what was wrong, and I'm like in my head going, I can't talk because I can't breathe. For those of you again who have had one, that you just can't breathe, so you can't talk. But then all of a sudden, just this big like whoa came out of my mouth, like this big ugly screamy cry situation. And it was awful. And it was just one of those cries that, you see a 7-year-old, he took my toast. It was like one of those. Just this massive amount of emotion came flying out of me. And, yeah, it was awesome. Good times. And that was the first of a few. But luckily the next few, like I sort of knew when it was coming, and I managed to sort of calm myself down a bit quicker, and, they weren't as bad. But yeah, just this emotion, because I was just so stuck and it's one of the first times that my emotions and what was going on with me actually affected me physically. I'm like a massive believer in the fact that our emotions contribute to our physical disease, and that was one of the first times that that had actually happened for me. So it was really full on. But anywho, so we'd had Dylan. I was having panic attacks. I was fat. I was disgusting. I was not living life. I was existing, and I was missing out on my kids. I was missing out on a beautiful relationship with my beautiful husband, and just not in a great place. But we ended up having a third child a couple of years later. And all this time just existing, not living. Like it was just going through the motions and doing all the things I thought I was supposed to be doing. That society, I can't say society expected of me, because you can't do that, but what you think society and how you're supposed to be from society, from core beliefs and your own, your own, like your own, how you've grown up and what you've seen a mum to be. And so I had Charlotte and was really inspired to lose some weight and start eating properly. So joined Michelle Bridges, and that was fantastic. And I lost a little bit of weight with that, but just it still didn't change anything because in here wasn't right, you know. And my husband turned around and said to me, which he had said to me a few times over the time that we'd been together, because he's actually from South Australia, and he said to me, let's move. And every other time I'd said no. And this time he almost fell over because I said, yep, we need to do this. We need to get out of here. We were both unhappy. And, you know, when you're unhappy apart, you're unhappy together, you know. So we were stale. And I knew that we weren't going to change and things weren't going to change, and I wasn't going to be able to change if I was where I was, like physically living where I was. Like I knew I couldn't do it. I needed something. It wasn't where I was supposed to be. I needed space and beautiful landscape and air, you know. So we did it. We went, yep, let's do it. And we went and we came out here and had a look at where we wanted to live and came back, put the house on the market. It sold in about 2 days, and a few months later we were out here, and it was honestly the best decision we ever made. We were renting a place that had these big windows that looked out onto just beautiful rolling hills. There was just so much space, and that's what I needed. Like I need nature and space, and it got me back into meditating and back into connecting to my beliefs, and which is like the universal energy, and letting that light in and connecting to that, which then led me to quit sugar, which led me back into Reiki, which then led me to studying holistic counselling. And it was really in this that like things went up a notch, because everything that we learn and all the techniques that we learned, the meditations, the shedding of core beliefs, the self-love, we had to do those exercises mainly on ourselves. And so it was a really big journey of rediscovering myself. And it was fantastic, and I felt amazing. It was hard. It's not easy when you're going through this journey. And when you're peeling off those onion layers, sometimes it can be really emotionally draining. And there were times when I was like, I can't do this next assignment because I just don't have it in me. Like I didn't have it in me to just to go down a level deeper. And but I did, and it all worked out fine. And it was great, and I loved it. And it really, like I say, you know, it connected me back to starting with that, connecting back to my beliefs, connecting to myself, following my joy and following what I really wanted to do. Because I'd actually thought about studying holistic counselling for about 3 years before that, but I just never did it for whatever reason. And going through all this just helped me to really follow what I wanted to do. So that's what I did. And it led me into just the whole thing that it's the whole part of us that is important. It's not just about our physical body. It's not just about our mental state. It's not just about healing our emotions. It's not just about our spirituality. All those things have to work together. And even when you're healing, you know, when you're healing your physical body, you need to think about your emotional state, your beliefs. You need to think about what you're telling yourself mentally. It all connects together and works together. We can't have one working well without the others, you know, it all links together. And that's how I got here, and that's how I got into wanting to help others to shed these beliefs and these emotions that are stopping them from following their joy and connecting to themselves, and living the lives that they know, because you know deep down in there what it is that you want to do and what you should be doing, but there's just so much stuff in the way, and most of it's not even yours, you know. Well, like, you know, it's what you've taken on and learned, it's what other people, or what you're letting other people put on you. The point is we've lost our power. You know, we need that power back. We need to connect to our hearts, connect to what we want, so that we can gain our power back and go, well, no, hang on, that doesn't work for me. Can we try this? But we can't do that when, you know, our kids have our power, our partner has our power, our core beliefs have our power, and that's what we need to get to the bottom of. So we need to make our overall well-being a priority, and as mums that's really hard, but it starts with connection. And if you can just stop a few times a day and tune in, take a deep breath, even if you're going, oh, I can't do meditation, you know, blah, 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 just connect to your breath, put your hands on your tummy and just feel yourself breathing. I'm here, I'm alive, I am, You know, I'm a person and I'm important and I matter. And connect to your breathing. Even if you just do that a couple of minutes in the morning, a couple of minutes at lunchtime, a couple of minutes as you go on to sleep, you know, it's a start. And it's reminding you that you are a person. It's not just all about your kids and your partner and your work. You're a person and you deserve as much as what you're giving everybody else. And that's what, through my work, that I want to remind all of you beautiful mamas, is that we are real and we have feelings and we have things that we want to do and achieve. And if there are things that are not working for us, we need to have the strength and the power to say, hang on, this isn't working for me. This isn't what I want. I don't want to be working full time and be looking after the kids and doing the washing and the cleaning. I only want to work 2 days a week. We need to make that happen because I can't do it. And it's okay to say that you can't do it. I can't cope. Like, in doing what I'm doing, I know that I could not work 9 to 5 every day of the week and wash and clean, get the kids to their sporting events and their, you know, whatever it is. Like, I know that I couldn't do that. I would fall apart. But at the same time, I also want to be there for my kids. I want to, like, I love that I can go to Sapsaza with my kids. And this is going off on a whole other tangent. Anywho, so I would love to connect with you, you know, and if you're thinking, oh my God, this is really resonating with me, but I don't know where to start, like, just contact me and book a little appointment and free 15-minute phone call, and we'll just have a chat. We'll see where you are and where you want to be, and, you know, we'll work out what we can do. And just keep an eye out as well for next week's, well, not next week's, but next month's blog, which is the part 2, where I'll start to just show you how you can start connecting, how that filters out into your physical, mental and emotional well-being, and then from there that filters out even further into different parts of your life. So I'll be talking about that and sharing that so that you can start to see how it all works together, and how important the top of that pyramid is. You know, it works down in the pyramid, the top of that pyramid, which is connection to yourself. That's where it all starts. So even if between now and then, just start doing some breathing, start listening a little bit closer to who you are. So yes, and also I'll put a link. If you're on my blog, there's already a link to some freebies down there. If you're on YouTube, I will put a link to the page so that you can get some freebies, self-love roadmaps and meditations and manifestation stuff. There's all some really cool stuff on there that you can have for free. And yeah, you can also grab the free 10-minute guided meditation as well, just for relaxation. And if you just start there, go download that and just start there. Just do it every day or once every couple of days, just so that you're relaxing and tuning in, because we're so busy as mums. There's so much going on. We need to stop and center. We'll talk about that next time. Thank you so much for watching and for being here. And I hope, I really am grateful for you letting me share my story with you today, and you know, how I got from A to B is how I would really love to help you get from A to B, because you deserve exactly what it is that you want. And I know at the moment you probably don't know what that is, but we can get there and we can work that out. So I will talk to you next time. I'd love to connect with you, so please do, and take it easy. Bye.